The University of Missouri's College of Agriculture, Food and Natural Resources, or CAFNR, is a national leader in agricultural development. Their research improves the health of people, animals, environments, and more, shaping the next generation of ag and natural resource leaders and making discoveries that impact not just our country, but the entire world. I'm Rachael Norden. Now, you may be familiar with the term, laws are like sausages. It's better not to see them being made. Well, at least where meat is concerned, what if you did? What if you not only saw how the sausage is being made, but learned how it's processed, packaged, and sold to the public in a state-of-the-art facility designed for leading education and marketing of local meat? In this episode of Thinking Out Loud and our final installment of this 4-part CAFNR series, I speak with Dr. Bryon Wiegand, Division Director of Animal Sciences at CAFNR-MU, about the new Michael L. Parson Meats Education and Training Lab, or Meat Lab for short, on how they're doing just that, inviting folks to see exactly how the sausage, lamb, steak, turkey, is being made through hands-on education and training, and the American Foods Group Meat Market, previously known as the Mizzou Meat Market, that formally opens this July.
So at the University of Missouri, actually, the meat science program has been here for a long time. Back in the 50s or into the 60s, we were actually a pretty large program based in the food science department. The Meat Lab, the new project, as we're seeing here on campus, has actually been about a 12 or 13-year path to success for building a new facility over on East Campus, close to the Trowbridge Livestock Center. So the facility that we'll talk about today is actually scheduled to open in July, operationally in July. So we're nearing the end of the construction phase on that, and they actually took down the construction fence this week, so feels like it's going to happen.
Yeah,
right?
That's exciting.
The facility is actually it's named after the former governor, Michael L. Parson. So it's the Michael L. Parson Meats Education and Training Laboratory. It's kind of a mouthful, so now you know why we sometimes shorten it and we say it's the Meat Lab.
Yeah.
And it's a project that actually came about by state funding through an appropriation, 2 years of appropriated funds to construct this new facility. And I'm sure you're going to ask a few questions about what do we do there and what's it all about.
Oh, for sure. It does sound like this has been a long time coming. I wasn't sure if it had just recently opened or was about to open. So it really is just right around the corner. That's exciting. You said, 12, 13 years leading into this?
Yeah, so the history on that's it's kind of interesting. The current facilities that we operate in, we actually have 2 different buildings, one for animal harvest, or what we'd call the abattoir, which is over on East Campus, close to the College of Vet Med. And then we have a processing facility for making processed meats, think bacon, summer sausage, these kinds of things. And that's in what was the William Stringer wing of Eccles Hall, part of the food science program. That particular piece came online in the late 90s, a fairly diminutive space. And frankly, we outgrew it pretty quick. The story on the last 12 to 14 years, when I came back to be on the faculty here at Mizzou back in 2007, we had a lot of stakeholders in the state. Missouri is a big livestock state. We're a very large beef state, but we also raise a lot of swine and sheep and goats as well. We had some conversations with stakeholders and with some of our legislators that were out in the rural part of the state, said, you're the land-grant university. You have a meats program. This is largely, there's a lot of end product and a lot of value that comes from the state of Missouri. Is there an opportunity maybe to upgrade? And of course, I was all in because I'm a meat scientist by training. And we worked on that a number of times. And there were efforts to see if we could get some funding through the legislature. There were efforts to maybe get funding from other stakeholder partners. And we always had a stumbling block. And this happens a lot when you look at a really big capital project on a campus. So fits and starts over a number of years. We kind of hit a bit of a spot where we had an opportunity to do the planning for a facility, because often people would come to us and say, well, what exactly do you want to build, or what is this about, and what would it cost? And that often was the hang-up. What would it cost? And we didn't have a great answer to what would it cost. So we secured some grant funding We were able to go through a planning phase in about 2016 and try to understand if we were to build something, what would it look like to fit the land grant mission for teaching, research, and education. And that gave us a plan. And that plan, we sat there for a while on that plan, and then we kind of looked for funding, and we got to the legislature through the process a couple of times with some what ifs, but never really any traction. And then COVID hit. We learned a lot in COVID about consumer behavior around meat consumption. And this is a nation of meat eaters largely. Not everybody, but a lot of people eat meat.
Sure.
And there was a lot of demand, and there was demand for local processing. A lot of the large processing companies had struggles with the COVID outbreaks in their plants with their workforce. And Governor Mike Parson at the time kind of turned to us as a program and said, is there something we can do to help the small processors in the state or the mid-sized processors in the state work through growing their workforce, expanding their footprint to maybe make the meats industry in Missouri a little more resilient? I said, well, I think we could do something, but frankly, Governor, our facilities are a bit antiquated. And it wasn't new to him. I mean, he understood that or had been in the legislature over the years. So we had the good fortune with some of the COVID funds as we came out, some of the federal kind of rescue funds to grow food processing capacity and resiliency. We had a senator in the southwest part of the state that put the first allocation in the budget. We were very grateful for that. It was uncommon for that to happen on such a big capital project. Yeah. We looked at the amount of money. I thought, that's a big amount of money. I think we can do a lot with it. We went back to the drawing board. We actually said, okay, now that we have this, what can we build with it? And we realized that we could build the processing capacity. We could build what was a pilot-sized plant that would mimic the industry standard. But what we figured out quickly is we couldn't do all the things that we need to do as a university, public university. We didn't have the funding to add the classroom, add the retail sales component to the facility where students could train. So while we could build the plant, as it were, the other things that we needed to do to be a good public servant didn't land.
Gotcha.
We went back to the well the next legislative year, and that same senator said, I'll help you try to get it to the finish line. We had a lot of stakeholders in helping us as well. Missouri Pork Association, Missouri Cattlemen's Association, Missouri Beef Industry Council. They were all advocating on our behalf because we have strong relationships with them. And we got the plus up in the next year to bring us to the point where we actually were able to move through and construct this facility that we're going to open here in July.
Wow, that is a really exciting story. It sounds like there was a lot of delays that actually ended up allowing you the time and the space to be able to build a foundation that is going to have a really long-term effect to it.
I think that's a good way to state it. Because really, the 14 years ago, we were probably talking about a much smaller footprint, kind of a let's do something to get by. And the delays may have helped us in that we could actually learn what we needed, and we could design something that we think is going to have a generational effect.
Yeah. So you mentioned it earlier, so I do have to ask: when we walk in the doors of this building in July, what are we going to see?
So this is a really some people say state of the art, right? It's modern, right? So what we're going to see, the first thing, the architecture does not look like. If you have a vision in your mind about what a meat processing plant looks like, I assure you what you will see from the outside won't meet that vision, because we've landed this in the architectural spirit of East Campus. It is a really well-designed facility. So from the outside, you would be hard-pressed to probably understand what we do there. And I think it's actually good because a lot of natural themes and colors, and I had the good fortune from our dean to allow me to help make some of those decisions. So, but when you walk in, it'll be a very naturally lit, welcoming space to what we have historically called the Mizzou Meat Market in our current facility. This one has had a naming rights opportunity. So the American Foods Group, which built the large beef processing plant over in Forestell, Missouri, and opened last year, we just recently announced a gift from them for the naming rights. So it'll be the American Foods Group Meat Market at Mizzou. It'll be the official title for it.
Nice.
And that's a publicly open meat market. We've been that we're kind of a bit of a hidden gem, I suppose, here on campus.
We have so many of those on
We do,
campus. We really
for
do,
sure.
especially with KAFNR.
And KAFNR for sure. You know, you think about Buck's ice cream, and a lot of people can find Buck's. Well, we're just down the hallway currently from Buck's with the Mizzou Meat Market. We won't be terribly far away from Buck's in the new building, but we'll be in our own space. So, you know, that will be a place that students will operate. We'll have one full-time staff member that'll help run the business model. But it'll largely be student-operated. We'll have an extended sales week compared to what we have now, so we intend to be open 5 days a week. Probably some sports Saturdays, think football season, maybe around some tailgating opportunities there. And it will sell the full complement of meats that you might think of out of a local meat market. So beef, pork, lamb, chicken.
That was going to be my next
turkey,
question. Turkey
stuff, right? So and we still, right now we do seasonal. We have around Thanksgiving, we sell smoked turkeys from our current facility. A lot of the traditions that we have now will move over. We'll just have them on a much larger scale and scope. Be able to meet a larger consumer demand, customer base. In that model.
That was going to be my next question. It truly is a hidden gem. I didn't realize we had that meat market already, but it sounds like it's expanding. Yeah. But that was going to be my next question: is were you going to be able to the things that you're packaging and processing? Was it going to be available for purchase that people could purchase them, or if there's any partnerships you might be doing with the local farmers market to sell items there? So these are things that people will be able to come to you and purchase.
Yes, so certainly in the public offering, we're very we're sensitive to other businesses in Columbia and in the region. We're looking to just compete with them in the space either. We're certainly using this as a living laboratory for our students to build out, but we do want to have a public offering there, and we're fairly unique in that we have some of the things that are kind of a classic butcher shop model. We would hand cut steaks on our Friday sales, for example, now, and seasonally, if, for example, we may have customers that prefer a lamb type product for a holiday event or something, and we would be able to do that on a small scale where some others may not do that in that small business setting.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to being back in that space and continuing some of that tradition.
Absolutely. I think of all the educational opportunities for something like this too. I think of if I was in school getting to have like a field trip day to the Mizzou Meat Lab and getting to see the tours and all the facility. Are those things that you'll be offering as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The design of this facility internally, and I do hope you'll come for a tour at some point.
Oh, I'd love to.
We've designed it with viewing windows from our main corridor. So when we're making making bacon or curing bacon or going through the process of slicing and packaging product and things like this, we'll have an opportunity for tours to come in. We certainly expect to host the school buses and these kinds of things as well, because we want our customers to understand what we do and how we make these products,
For sure,
wholesome and safe and these kinds of things.
I think that's important because it is meat consumption and production, and it's such a large part of not just people day to day consuming these things, but it's a large part of our agriculture. It's a large part of our economy here in Missouri and the Midwest. And to be able to see the back end of that, I think answers a lot of questions that people might have when they're looking at the package in the store and wondering, how did it go from cow to here?
Yeah, I think that's a really good perspective about it. Sometimes we jokingly in culture say, I don't want to know how the sausage is made. Well, I think it's important to know how the sausage is made, right? Transparency around this food supply and where, and then help answer questions about, like right now, beef prices, for example, are quite high in the market. And when we look at this program or this facility being linked to the Division of Animal Science, which that's the livestock production side, we can look at it, choose whichever phrase you want, farm to fork, gate to plate, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Whatever rhymes.
That's right. Whatever you want to put in the press, right? I think this really puts a nice dot on the I at the end of this thing, where the livestock production system, and as you pointed out, from an economic standpoint, it's a major driver, especially for the state of Missouri.
Yeah. So as July arrives, have you guys already had like a groundbreaking ceremony and things like that?
So we had an official groundbreaking last April.
Okay.
And the former governor, the current governor, and all the people came. And it was a bit of a rainy day. We actually had it in the Trowbridge Livestock Center, which was right adjacent to our construction site. We are planning a ribbon cutting kind of open house event. We're going to wait and do that kind of down in the fall.
That makes sense.
Maybe aligning with CAFNR Week. We've kind of got some cursory plans around that, which would be that first week in October. So
okay,
we're going to kind of welcome the public in and align that with some of the other celebrations we have within the college around agriculture and food production. So I'm looking forward to that. That allows the facility to kind of get open and have a soft open and kind of work the kinks out with the business model and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes total sense. As that was going to be my question, was could people come and support the work that you're doing? Is there going to be any kind of open house like you just mentioned? So sounds like that's going to be coming our way in October. So in the meantime, how can people support the work that you do at the Meat Lab?
Well, right now, once it's open, right, when we're open in July, we invite people to come over to East Campus on East Campus Drive and drop in and see their meats facility, right? I mean, that's why we view it. This is the public university, the land grant. It belongs to the state of Missouri. So part of that is just come see us. We've got other things that we're working on with our advancement group. We've got some things around continuing education, both for our staff and our faculty and our graduate students, and their opportunities through the CAFNR advancement to look at those and how you kind of support the ongoing efforts. It's one of those things, you can build the building, but you got to put people in it.
Sure.
And let the programming grow. There is an expectation from when we were funded that we would support some workforce development programs in the meat processing space. Mm-hmm. Missouri is home to a significant number of small and very small processors, some 220-ish small businesses. And like many small businesses, they struggle with employee retention, employee training, and that's a piece that we would like to take on as part of our extension and outreach. So we fully intend to interact very, very heavily with the public.
Yeah.
And design the building, I think when people come see us, they'll be like, oh, you did have us in mind because you do want us to come in here and see this place.
That was Dr. Bryon Wiegand, Division Director of Animal Sciences at CAFNR-MU, on the new Meat Lab and Market on MU campus, encouraging you to join him and his team for this long-awaited opening of this new facility and learn all about the sausage and the other meats processed and sold in their market come July. Thank you for tuning in for this 4-part series with CAFNR. And if you'd like to learn more about CAFNR and the work they do, visit cafnr.missouri.edu. I'm Rachael Norden, and you've been listening to Thinking Out Loud from KBIA 91.3 FM.